So that happened again, from using isogenics again. The first time that I got pregnant, I'd been using isogenics for 2 months and got a positive test. We'd only been trying for 2 months, mind you, but I had been doing it. Excuse me. And this time I was on it for 1 month and pregnant again. This pregnancy test looks a lot more clear, positive than the first pregnancy, so that gives me a little bit of hope. And symptom wise, I had a bit of frequently going to the toilet, both for number 1 and 2. Not necessarily like diarrhea or anything like that, but just like needing to go more than usual, which I had last time too, so I wasn't too worried about it. It's better than being constipated, I figure, so yep. And a little bit of, I wouldn't say cramping, but like pressure, like as if it's sort of expanding and doing all those things in the lower abdominal area where you normally get period pain. It's kind of like pre-period pain. I don't know if you know what that is, because some women don't, but before you get your period, you kind of feel that pressure. It's not really painful, but it's just like, it's there. I've had a little bit of that and a little bit of lower back pain, but nothing too serious. I've had some heartburn as well, which is normal because when you start to change the hormones, the sphincter that keeps all your stomach acid in your stomach gets a bit slack and lets some of it up into your throat. So it's not unusual in the first trimester to have some heartburn going on. But I find that if I have a nutty muesli bar or something like that first thing in the morning when I wake up, that gets rid of that heartburny feeling, and then I'll have breakfast. I try and eat 5 or 6 times a day, and I try and have a good protein breakfast. So either it's going to be an isogenics shake with some added stuff like, cream or something like that with added fat and protein, and I have that on milk as well. I would like to be milking our cow and using that milk, but we don't have a cow that we can milk at the moment, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, just trying to keep, the full fat and full protein sort of diet happening, so that I have the energy to build the little bean inside me. All right, so we're now officially in week 5. Well, actually, I am officially 5 weeks, not in week 5. So yeah, symptom wise, just not as tired this week, but still hitting walls pretty regularly. Starting to get a little bit unwell in the mornings, more like I've been on the grog all night and I don't even drink, than actual nausea, just kind of feeling seedy and yucky. And I've got a bit of a blocked nose at the moment because I'm staying at my parents' place and people have their fires lit because it's cold, and the smoke I'm allergic to a little bit, so my nose is a bit sniffly, but really doing pretty well. The heartburn's still there in the mornings. It's not as bad as it was, which is nice, but it's definitely still there. The back pain's still there. The pressure is relieving a little bit in the front, like the period pain feeling is not as bad now, but I am still going to the toilet to pee a lot, and my digestive system is still working reasonably well, so everything seems to be going well. I'm here staying at my parents until Wednesday. I have a blood test tomorrow, and that's about it really for this week. Not much has changed. If anything, I've kind of got into the groove a bit and coping pretty well. We only got to 4 weeks and 5 days. I looked it up on my app last time, before I had the chemical miscarriage. So we're now at the 5-week mark, which is good. So I'm hoping that next week I'll be able to update you and say that everything's still going nicely and we're at 6 weeks. And then when we get to 8 weeks, I'll be feeling a little bit more confident. There is always still a risk, but yeah, we'll be past the kind of chemical pregnancy risk and the not enough progesterone risk, which shouldn't be a problem because symptoms are indicating that it's there, and I've always had a regular luteal phase in my cycle. So there's nothing to indicate that there is a problem there, and the chemical pregnancy was probably due to an abnormality in the fetus rather than an issue with me, hopefully. So I am doing a wild first trimester basically, just because I want to make sure it's viable before I go down the medical path. I don't like the medical path, but for the safety of my baby, I will do it for the second and third trimesters. But for the first one, I'm just kind of chilling out, relaxing, and trying to, you know, just be calm and not stress out too much, because I don't think that my kind of phobia of medical intervention would help. So I'm just taking it easy, not doing too much medically. The blood test I had to have before I got pregnant, so that's nothing to do with this. I could do a HCG test, but I'm not going to, and I could test for progesterone, but I'm pretty sure, based on my symptoms that I had prior to the pregnancy and that I have now, are indicating that it's fine. I've had no spotting or breakthrough bleeding in my cycle ever, and in this pregnancy I haven't had any either, so that's a good sign. And the symptoms are indicating that it's doing its job. So hopefully, all fingers and toes crossed and on my knees praying, and everything will hopefully go according to plan. So this is, now we're in week 5. Week 4 is done. Week 5 we're here. So next week will be week 6. So hopefully I can update you on some more positive progression news. And yeah.
This week, I'm developing my face. I've got a mini nose and the tiniest eyes.
I know my hair's a mess and all the rest of it, but I just woke up, or just got up. I've been awake for a few hours, but haven't brushed it or anything yet. Anyway, we made it to week 6, which is exciting. We only made it to about week 4 and 3 days, I think it was, for the chemical pregnancy. So we've made it to now week 6, which is amazing. And I do have a new symptom to report. I've been feeling really full, not sick as such, just like I've eaten lots when I haven't eaten anything. So I just have an easier day as far as eating on those days where I just don't eat the snacks and things like I do on a day where I feel good. So I can kind of force myself to eat the main meals with the main nutrition in them and not worry too much about the snacks in between. And that seems to work all right. And then the next day I normally feel pretty good again. So yeah, I know it kind of sounds counterintuitive because they say when you feel like that to eat more often, but that was actually making it worse. So I've just started to eat the main meals and get as much nutrition in those as I can, as much protein. I'm averaging about 130 grams of protein a day. So that's good. And making sure I'm getting those important vitamin Bs. I do take a prenatal, obviously. I take Evernatal because it has really good choline and iodine, and the vitamin Bs are methylated, so they're much easier for my body to absorb. And then if my baby is also MTHFR, which I'm pretty sure I am as well, they'll be easy for it to also use rather than just store, especially the vitamin B9 or folate, because if it's folic acid, then anyone, well not anyone, but a lot of people with MTHFR mutation, which is a genetic mutation, can't absorb folic acid, and it's about 40% of the population. So a lot of people can't do it, and that means the baby, if it is, won't be able to properly either, and then that can lead to issues down the track. So I take a methylated one anyway. I haven't been tested for MTHFR, but I'm pretty sure I am, just going off the deficiencies I've had in the past and so forth. And yeah, so I just take a methylated one to be sure that my body is getting it, because it's not going to hurt if I'm not able to process folate, and it's not going to hurt if I am able to process folate, or folic acid, I should say, sorry. You know, it's not going to hurt either way. So I just do that for peace of mind, really. That supplement doesn't have iron in it, but I also take the beef organs, and that has about 3 milligrams of iron per tablet. So yeah, I take 4 of those. So I'm getting the iron I need, and a bit more vitamin B12 and some CoQ10 and all those other things. Excuse me, I do still have the heartburn, obviously. It does ease off from time to time, and then it gets bad again, and then it goes away again, and then it does that continuously. And the full feeling is new. That was this week. I have a bit of it right now, but I have just had breakfast, so I'm not really surprised, and it's not too bad, so that's good. But other than that, symptom-wise, nothing's really changed. The pain in my lower abdomen, well, it wasn't really pain, but pressure, has pretty much stopped, and I sometimes get a little bit of lower back pain, but certainly not too bad. And that's about it, really. So hopefully I can give you another update next week, and we'll be at 7 weeks. Exciting.